Somebody say, yes, Lord.
Yes, Lord.
Good morning.
Good morning.
First, I want to thank you for having me back, welcoming a Jesus-loving, Bible-teaching, New Thought preacher back to God.
Amen.
I see you gave me an honorary doctorate while I was gone. Dr. Jerrold Smith. I want you to know I appreciate it, but we're still working on that. Right now, we're just Minister Jerrold, Reverend Jerrold. And I have to mention that, I would not be a Jesus-loving, Bible-teaching, New Thought preacher if it wasn't for those who came before me and demonstrated a way. Because when I entered into this New Thought teaching as a baby, I had a question in my mind as to whether the Bible had anything to do with it or not. I didn't know if it was going to be a fit. And one day I had the pleasure of hearing someone named Reverend Mine speak. And after I listened to him intently, I realized that there was a unity of message, and that New Thought, the Science of Mind textbook, not only had a place for the Bible, it was based on just that. So thank you for having me back, and I really appreciate it. I feel like I'm at home. There's some folks in here that I've known for quite a long time. Where do you go, Ron Turner? I've known Ron for almost 40 years. And there's a brother sitting back there in the back, all cool. I've known him for like the same amount of time. Ted Bragg. We're going to get into our message today. Dr. Clara told me that we were going to talk about love is calling. But before we talk about love is calling, I want to take just a moment, if you don't mind, if you indulge me, because this is Black History Month. And not only is it Black History Month, but there was some very famous folk who were actually born in February. I was one of them. But other than yours truly, there's a gentleman that we know as W.E.B. Du Bois, who was also born in February, and he left us with this quote. He said, "A little less complaint and whining, and a little more dogged work and striving would do us more good than 1,000 civil rights bills." Rosa Parks was also born in February. And Rosa Parks said this: "Knowing what must be done does away with the fear of doing it." Frederick Douglass was born in February. And he said, "I prayed for 20 years, but received no answer until I prayed with my legs." Think about that. You can pray a long time, but if you don't make a move to do something in your own behalf, chances are you may not get an answer. Bob Marley was born in February, and he said, "I don't stand for the black man's side. I don't stand for the white man's side. I stand for God's side." Now, there was a time in my life when I was considered militant. So this gentleman, who was also born in February, was someone that I used to follow. His name is Huey P. Newton. And Huey P. said this. He said, "I think what motivates people is not great hate, but the great love for other people." And then that one I mentioned to you earlier, Reverend Jerrold, he wants you to know this. "Mastering the art of unconditional love is the work for which all else is just preparation." Now that's a little Black history for you, but what makes February such a great month? It's the month when we celebrate the idea of love. It's a holiday in this month called Valentine's Day, which most of us don't look at as a religious holiday. It's been commercialized out of this religious beginning. But in fact, it does have religious ties. Because see, Valentine's Day started a long time ago when they decided to honor some gentlemen that were known as Saint Valentinus. And there was more than one. But there was one in particular who was put in prison and sentenced to be executed because he married Roman soldiers before they went off to war. You see, you know what the Roman concept is. It's to control and manipulate and depress and bind and constrict you. So the Caesar felt that if you were married and had a reason to live, you wouldn't be a hardcore soldier. So he made it illegal for them to be married. But St. Valentine, like all the other St. Valentinas, they helped the persecuted Christians. So while he was in prison, being the type of guy he was, the jailer's daughter was sick, and he healed the jailer's daughter. Now that's all it says he did was heal the jailer's daughter. But he left her a note. He said, "Love always, your Valentine." And the rest is history. Now there are cards and flowers and letters exchanged every year in honor of Valentine's Day. I want to take this salute. I will continue by telling you this. No matter how commercialized this day becomes, love is the greatest power in the world. As a matter of fact, it's the only power in this world. And our life will evolve at the degree that we embody, express, and experience the power of God's love. But like the love of God, true love is given unconditionally. Yet we have the freedom to turn away from our divine heritage. You see, love is ever present, but not always recognized. Love is always calling, but we have the option to turn a deaf ear to its sound. You see, there are millions invested in an outward expression of love during this month, and it's a wonderful thing. But unless we answer love's call, unless we invoke the internal realization of an unconditional love, I'm talking about that agape love of Christ, we will fall short of our quest to make our crooked ways straight, to turn our waters of potential into the inspiration of wine, to feed the multitudes with the bread of spiritual substance and provide fish of prosperous ideas. There's a gentleman that I like to read. His name is Neil Donald Walsh, and he wrote a book called Conversations with God. And he says this. He says, the highest thought is always the one that contains joy. The clearest words are the one that contain truth. And the greatest feeling is the feeling that we call love. Ernest Holmes says it this way. He says, universal love must be done one with law of its own being. He tells us that God's love is perfect, just as God's law is perfect. He reminds us that love is the director, but the soul is the producer, or at least the main character in the play. You see, we must consciously direct our loving thoughts into our subconscious mind or soul if we want to experience true love in our life. Emotional love makes the body feel good for just a short time. But spiritual love can make the body celestial and everlasting. Now, we don't need to pick one over the other. It's a good thing to enjoy them both. But we have to remember to always put one over the other. We have to put spiritual love first. In chapter 4 of our text, Ernest Holmes draws this correlation between love and the soul. And he says the soul is subjective to spirit. The subjective mind must do as directed by what? The conscious mind. Ernest Holmes goes on to say this. He says, it is the business of the soul to reflect the images that spirit casts into it. You see, the soul is this undifferentiated stuff from which all things are made. And just like God had to have a conscious idea of the universe in Genesis 1, just like he had to have that conscious idea before he could manifest his creation in chapter 2. And then we had to come along with our material, emotional, and egotistical-based choices and mess everything up in chapter 3. But because God is a God of love and a love of compassion, He made it so we can fix this mess. We can fix it by recognizing, unifying, and realizing with the infinite mind of God, which is something that we always have access to. The law of God, you see, gives us the power to produce. But it's the love of God that gives us the choice as to what we choose to produce. We have to keep in mind that soul and spirit is the creators of the manifest creation. But love is that creative medium that reacts only to our personal use of it. How we use it depends on how much of it occupies our consciousness. You see, if fear, doubt, anger, selfishness, prejudice, none of that stuff can exist in the same space as agape love. So if you're experiencing some of that in your life, that just means you've left room for it. You haven't filled yourself up with enough unconditional love. You see, we must embrace the call of love fully. And if we do, we'll have no room for anything unlike itself. Ernest Holmes goes beyond the text and he talks to us in the Ernest Holmes papers and he tells us that love is the law that attracts friends. He tells us everybody has to love and that love has to be returned, otherwise we're not happy. You see, love is the creative energy in this universe. And without love, it's a certain part of life that will never come into fulfillment. It's the greatest healing power in the world. And it's also a universal power. Love is the only thing that binds people together in a community of spirit. You see, without love, this world would destroy itself. Now, I know y'all think things have changed and times are a little different, and some of you have questioned about how things are going to happen going forward in these United States of America. But understand one thing. You have nothing to worry about as long as love dominates your consciousness. Because if everybody stands in a consciousness of love and there's more of them than him, everything's going to be all right. Jesus, Buddha, and Socrates believed that love is the only final security on earth. That's why we like to tell you that the bigger the difficulty, the greater the love you need to express in your life. But you can't express what you don't possess. Therefore, you have to answer the call of love. Now, you know there's a lot in this Bible, but there's one thing in particular that always gets associated with love, and it's in Corinthians, the first Corinthians, chapter 13. You see, Paul was one of the greatest teachers there ever was. I know Creflo Dollar is good. Michael Beckwith is eloquent. What's that boy on TV everybody like? T.D. Jakes, Joel Osteen. Wonderful, wonderful teacher. But none of them can hold a candle to Paul. See, Paul was dealing with some tough stuff. He had enemies while he was teaching. He didn't have a television program. But in teaching the Corinthians, who represent people who are supposed to be about the consciousness of love, but like we do, they had gotten a little friendly with their love and not spiritual enough with their love. So he said to them, and he used himself as an example, he said, I can speak to you in tongues of men and angels, but without love in my heart, I'm just like loud brass and clean cymbals. So what he's saying is I can stand here and give you a bunch of eloquent words. I can encourage you. I can inspire you. I can give you everything you think you want to hear. But if I don't have love in my heart, all I'm doing is talking loud and saying nothing. He said, if I have the gift of prophecy, if I understand all mysteries and all knowledge, If I demonstrate a faith that can move all mountains without love in my heart, I have nothing. So it doesn't matter how much education I have. If I don't have love in my heart, my life is going to be empty. He says if I can give all my goods to the poor and sacrifice my body. That's a good thing to be generous. It's a good thing to be philanthropic. It's a good thing to give of yourself. But sometimes in that giving, we're expecting. So if we're not giving out of pure, unconditional love, we will profit nothing. Why? Because he tells you love is long-suffering and kind. Love will go through everything and still remain love. Love doesn't envy anybody. It has no room for vanity, nor does it boast. It won't misbehave, and it's never selfish. It's not fickle, evil, nor does it take pleasure in the inequity of others. What love does, it rejoices in truth. What love does, it bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things. Now, all of us know what spiritual love represents. But all of us also remember our first love. Now, you might have been 5 like I was. Oh, it's true. 5 years old, got married in the church. Called it the Tom Thumb wedding. Because I sold the most cookies. But some of you might have fell in love at 15, 25, 55. And maybe a few of you 75, 80. And you remember how good it felt. But I want you to know, until you make yourself your first love, you'll never experience the love that Paul's talking about in 1 Corinthians. Your first love must be that of the Christ consciousness. Because the Christ consciousness ordains a marriage that finds balance in what appears to be in opposition. You see, Jesus the Christ was the perfect example of what love is and what love can do when you answer the call. Now, you heard a reading earlier. It was John 4, 7 through 12. And it tells you what love is. It says, my beloved, let us love one another, for love is from God. And everyone who loves is born of God and knows God. He who does not love does not know God, for God is love. By this, the love of God towards us is made known, for God sent his only begotten Son into the world, that we might live through him. Herein love, not that we love God, but that God loved us enough to send his Son in propitiation, that's a word, for our sins. My beloved, if God so loved us, we ought at least love one another. No man has seen God at any time, but if we love one another, God abides in us, and his love is perfected in us. That's what love is. That big word, propitiation. That means to teach us, to show us. That means to make the ultimate sacrifice so we can get things right. Now, what love does is it shows compassion by calling our attention to our truth. You see, in this book, in particularly Matthew 15, it talks about how Jesus healed the lame, the blind, the dumb, and fed thousands with 7 loaves and a few fish. When the Bible talks about being lame, blind, and dumb, it's talking about the conscious mind being crippled by ignorance of your spiritual truth. But after being awakened by the Christ consciousness, after hearing the call of love, they received the spiritual food and ideas of prosperity. Now, healing the blind, the lame, and the dumb was a great thing. But raising somebody from the dead, now that's love. That's love personified. So Jesus got a call from Mary and Martha. And they said, you got to come see about our brother. She has forgotten who he is. He has no idea of what this life is all about. Now, Jesus had to travel a little way, so he got there a little late. Mary and Martha were just a little bit upset. But he said, just be still and know, I got this. So I'm going to read just a little bit to you about what happened that day. It says, Jesus was in tears. And the Jews then said, see how much he loved him. Some of them said he could not. This man who opened his eyes of the blind and who could have kept this man from dying. And Jesus was disturbed in himself because of them. And he came to the tomb. The tomb was a cave, and a stone was placed in front of its entrance. And Jesus said, take away the stone. Martha, his sister, said to him, my Lord, his body already stinks. He's been here for 4 days. And Jesus said to her, did I not say to you that if you believe, you will see the glory of God? So they took away the stone, and Jesus lifted his eyes upwards and said, oh, Father, I thank thee, for thou hast heard me. He heard the call of love. And I know that thou always hears me. But I say these things just because of these people who stand around, so they may believe that thou hast sent me. And when he said this, he cried out in a loud voice, and Lazarus came out. And when the dead man came out, his hands and feet were bound with burial cloths, and his face was bound with a burial napkin. And Jesus said to him, loose him and let him go. Lazarus. There's nothing but Lazarus sitting in this room. Lazarus represents all of us because Lazarus represents all who God helps. Lazarus represents anyone who answers the call. Because when the Bible tells you he was dead, what he's telling you is the energy of life is asleep in the tomb of his subconscious. And we grow old and die when our youthful ideas go to sleep. But the Christ consciousness comes along and restores that youthful energy. They call it regeneration. That eternal youth, that spirit of everlasting life is given by the love of God. That's why the book says Jesus loved Lazarus. And death had no power over his spiritual understanding. So you see, when we awaken to our spiritual truth, when you've given up all hope, it's not easy. That's why it says Jesus groaned and Jesus wept. Because he was surrounded by doubters like the Sadducees and the Pharisees. But he wants you to know that love and compassion alone didn't roll that stone of material laws away all by itself. It required some faith. It required the faith of Martha, that outer activity of the soul receiving the higher self that removes all limitations of the material consciousness. Love, compassion, and faith heeds the call of spiritual consciousness that impregnates the soul and gives us powers unknown. The power to raise ourselves from a dead state to a spiritual state of knowing. Those who hear love's call affirm the completeness of the idea regardless of the appearances, regardless of what it looks like all around them. This is the power of the Christ mind. Jesus knew the Father heard him. That's why he said, I thank thee long before Lazarus was raised. But when Lazarus, when you and I are asleep to our spiritual truth, love is calling. Words of truth to stimulate our inner spiritual vibration to give us the power to manifest in this, our outer life. You see, the outer must be vitalized by the inner. Purification of the mind is what regenerates the body. The raising of Lazarus was a response to love calling. Jesus cried out in a loud voice. That was love calling. And when you're in the midst of your drama and you're in the midst of your despair, love is calling. When you lose hope and you lose all direction, love is calling. When your babies are out in the street shooting and killing each other, love is calling. When the homeless don't have anything to eat and nowhere to sleep, love is calling. When life's not giving you all that you desire, all you dream of, and everything you want, and that you think you need, love is calling. And when love calls, I advise you to take the advice of Atlantic Star that tells you when love is calling, you better answer. You better answer with the spiritualization that opens your heart, it opens your mind, and allows the Christ consciousness to fill you with the love of God so you have no room for anything unlike itself. You better answer with an activation, a prayer of affirmation under the direction of Christ that will call forth and move on your own behalf. You better answer with a socialization that has you loving God, loving self, and loving your neighbor as yourself, because we are, in fact, our brother's keeper. Love is calling. And when love calls, what I want you to remember is what you heard a little earlier. That true love does not come just in spirit and mind and body alone. For he who loves in spirit will be weak of body and changeless of mind. He who loves in mind alone will be careless of spirit and animal in body. He who loves of body alone will fornicate and be lower than a worm. Yet he who loves not in body will never experience the upsurging, the creative love that makes his manhood and his womanhood akin to godhood. He who loves not in mind will never know the great wisdom that rises out of ignorance into clarity of thought. And he who loves not in spirit will never know the Christ consciousness that joins him together in laughter with the gods and binds him in marriage for eternity. Yes, he who truly loves proudly, loves fiercely, loves in all three areas. Yet he who truly loves always loves. He who truly loves, loves in all ways and answers the call of love in spirit, in mind, and in body. Love's calling. I encourage you to answer. God bless you.